Hey everyone, and welcome to another project using the February Kitaholic Kits. This one is using one of the exclusive cut files that Virginia has made for us as subbies. And as you know, if you'd watched my unboxing video over on my channel, that I pre-cut these cut files and printed the printable Project Life size cards, and that way I had everything ready, which then in turn, surprise, surprise, meant that I actually pulled, and this is my second cut file that I've used on a layout because it was already cut and I didn't have to, set up the silhouette machine and muck around with my laptop or anything like that. So if you are one of those people that are liking the look of cut files but aren't too sure, I suggest cutting them out and working with it from there. Anyway, I did try to audition a couple of pattern papers to back the cut file, but then I decided I wanted white. And then I decided that I would put this modelling paste through this heart stencil and use that to back the cut file instead. So it's white on white on white. And I think it pops really well out on this layout. I like the way it sticks out on the pattern paper. So I've got this photo of the beach, and I don't have many beach photos. Unfortunately, when we do go to the beach for the day, I leave my phone in the car because I don't want it just sitting on the beach. And, I tend to go in the water and things like that because we don't go that often. It's nice to actually enjoy it. So one day I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and not go swimming as much. And that way I can get some nice photos of, my boys in the water and enjoying themselves and whatnot, rather than just this random photo of them of the beach as we're scoping it out, or, walking to the beach if we're scoping it out, because then once we scope it out, we go, yep, and we go back and we get our towels and whatnot and put my phone away. So I'm just going to add this doily in the photo just like this. I'm going to use all this fun foam and more to back the cut file, and then I just kept it in a little bit so you can see how it works when you use fun foam. And I think it's a lot cheaper than using double-sided foam tape, even though fun foam isn't that exactly 100% cheap, but sometimes you can pick it up fairly cheap at the cheapy dolly shops kind of thing. So on we go. I'm going to embellish this layout. I think I do add a lot onto this layout considering it's a cut file. I've had a couple of conversations now about how I don't usually use cut files because it's a bit trickier and a lot of effort for me. But I found that having them cut meant that I using them. So this is my second layout. But also, I was talking to Virginia about the fact that once the cut file is backed, usually a layout comes together so quickly, and you don't have to add too much afterwards. But for this layout, it came together quickly. But for this layout, I just treated the cut file like a title rather than a big embellishment as such. And because of that, I did add a lot of stuff on that side to fill in that space. So I'm just going to add a bit of the white paper in the background here by ripping this pattern paper here. That just gives it a bit more of the white space to rest your eyes, which is very lucky because I do add a lot of colour on top of this. So not only am I doing a cut file for, one of the many few times, I think this is like the fourth time I've used a cut file, and two of them have been this month. I do use pattern paper as a background, which is something I do every now and then, but not very often at all. And if I do it, often I will add, like a big block of mixed media or something, a bit of block of paint so that it mutes down the pattern paper. So it's sort of like cheating the system, I think. But that is what I usually do. Instead, today I used it as a full pattern paper and just did a few tricks like using the cut file as white and adding this white bit of space here. So I'm just curling up the edges, giving it a bit of texture, because obviously I don't want it to be flat. I want it to look like it's peeking through as such and have it as a layer rather than as a flat base. And I'm going to add that sticker in there, just cutting off the top. Now these little banner kind of stickers are nice to add as a banner from the top, I guess. It's really obvious, hence the name. But it's really good to have it as a feature to start a cluster up there. And it's nice to have your eyes go round the page by having things up the top and the bottom. or the middle and the top, and opposing edges and whatnot, so that you're not overwhelming one section of the paper and your eyes just rest there and don't move around and don't see all the bits and pieces. Anyway, I thought I'd grab out some puffy stickers, and this is where I decide the flowers are going to end up on this layout. And flowers certainly do end up on this layout a lot. So in comes a big cluster of flowers, and that will start that off. So the doily is what starts the cluster off on this one, and you just end up seeing hints of it in the background. So a lot of times I think a doily or a tag or something in the background is a nice starting point for a cluster, and it just then has those hints of being visible at the end. It's sort of like mixed media. You put a big lot down, then you chuck your photo with your layers and embellishments on it, and you just see hints of it in the background to brighten up and add that interest. That's just the way I like to layer my embellishments and make an embellishment cluster, or the way I use mixed media as a background tool. So I'm just going to go through and pull out some of these flowers. Now these flowers here, I found we had quite a few of them, so I've pulled them out, and what I find the way to use them is to layer them up, and I found that works really well. I like the way it worked. So I layer different colours on top of each other, and then I put the top one to fold up. So then ruffling up the top of that top layer flower meant that it has a little bit of dimension, and then it's not just flat onto the cluster, and I think that's really cool. And then I do pull out the enamel shapes and put some circle enamel dots in the middle of them, which just ends the flower just perfectly. It makes it look like it's the way it's always meant to be, like you brought a packet of 3D flowers and added it to a layout. So I think that was a really good fluke of me to find when I was creating. Sometimes things come to you as you're creating, and sometimes things come to you as you're touching the supplies and having to think about things. I find both methods work for me. I do like the process of creating and working out what works as I go along, and other times, not as often, but other times I'll think, oh, yep, this is where I want and what I want to do, and this is how it's going to go. So, being creative is actually the joy of being like that and having that artistic flair in the moment, I think, and that's the main reason I scrapbook, actually, and why I share what I do. So yeah, that just got a bit of a tangenty kind of time. Anyway, so you can see now I'm clustering some flowers and a heart around that today down the bottom. I'm just going to go through some words. I thought it might be nice to have a bit of a word in that cluster, that flower cluster in the middle. And then, of course, I pull out a few because there's lots of colours going on. So I thought not only does it need more than just one, but it also could do with some more of the colours rather than all the same. So I found this circle, and it just goes so well with the phrase and the word, the colour. I just didn't know where it was going to go, so I just put it there for the time being. And as soon as I pick it back up again, I realise where it needs to be. Add some black and white words because you can never add enough of them. And we were just so lucky this month to get so many of those exclusive die cuts that Deb has created and Steph has cut for us. So here's where I pick up my enamel dots and realise it'd be so good. So you can see how it just takes it to the next level and makes the flowers complete. Makes them look like they were professionally made and packaged up and sold as flowers like that. So here we go. I forgot one of them, so I'm just pulling out another colour. I was just trying to make sure I didn't have the same colours everywhere. So on it goes. And here's where I realise where this is going to go. And that's just going to round out that cluster down the bottom. Sorry for the background noise. So yeah, I'm just going to add this, the last few finishing touches. There's not too much going on in terms of technique and what not left in the layout, but it is a lot about placement and thinking about where things go. So I think for me anyway, when I watch a process video, I don't like everything to be cut out, because I like to have that thought process of, oh, I want this word on the layout, but where do I want to put it? So, moving it around a bit. However, there has to be a good balance, I think. You don't want to watch, 30 minutes of someone doing that, because that's what we do in real time. But it's good to know sometimes that it isn't just me at home sitting there going, oh, I don't know where this goes. I know it belongs here, but where does it go? It's nice to be able to see things come together in a more of a fluid, natural way. Anyway, man, I'm a bit rambly. Let me know down below and I'll come back and check out the comments if there's anything that I've been chatting about this morning, or anything you do want me to chat about, you want an answer for a question or a comment, or, that kind of thing, because I'll definitely answer that. Anyway, just going to go with the puffy stickers, adding a few hearts here and there, because there's some lovely little colours on those hearts. And I find those little sprinkles are what joins the cluster and a page together. So you can see that top banner cluster and that flower cluster in the middle sort of have melded in together, but they sort of look separate at the same time. So they draw your eye around. Now here's where I realised the loving word is not really standing out, and it just looks like, you can read summer clearly, but you couldn't really see it unless you looked really hard. And so I pull out a paint pen, and this is just a pink one from Officeworks, and I just go through, I fast forwarded it, but I've kept it in because it's really cool to see the letters form and make a word as I'm colouring them in, and it's just simple as that. Now this is just plain cardstock that I actually use to print on, or I use if I'm doing an 8.5 by 11 paper layout, because it's that size. So that is the end of the process. Here is the close-ups, and I hope you've enjoyed it and that you'll give us a like and leave us a comment. I really enjoy reading and hearing about your thoughts, and especially in relation to the layout that I've made in particular. But yeah, and I'll definitely come back and respond. Anyway, have a great day. I'll catch you next video. Bye.